This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution, and through the wonders of technology, I am speaking to Mr. Brad Long, otherwise known as Chef Brad Long. How are you today, Brad?
I am sitting in an empty restaurant. I don't know what to tell you. It's depressing, and it's frustrating. And I guess to confess something, I saw this coming. I just didn't think it was going to happen quite this way, quite this soon. I mean, it was inevitable that people slowly, especially boomers, began to go out less and just order groceries, quick fast food, and then home replacement at home. This was happening anyway. It was just a slow attrition killing restaurants. And I had been telling people this was going on. I've been working with a group of people to tool up ghost kitchens, and test different menus using our cooking and purchasing philosophy. So it'd be all fresh food. It's still the same concepts. It's just a different, I guess it's a different way of running a business, or a philosophical approach to purchasing, all those things. But the COVID-19 thing just, I don't know, basically snuck up behind me and smacked me on the back of the head. Because we're in the exact same place as I thought we'd be 5 to 10 years from now. And we are here overnight. And I haven't tooled properly for it. I'm in the process, but that means I'm behind. Other people are already out of business. This is going to be a struggle anyway, you slice it. And I think, this would be a good point to throw this in. I'm really glad I'm Canadian, and I'm glad I'm in Canada, because I feel like this is one of the few places that, and it's not just the government or whatever, it's the people here too. We all seem to have looked at each other and went, all right, I'll help you. We'll get through this. So the government has done decent things. We've all each other done good things to each other, and we seem like we'll get through it. It's still scary, but I mean, we're not at each other's throats like some countries.
And to use the word of the season, how have you managed to pivot?
Well, I guess I think pivoting is, in this case, probably both, physical, operational, and mental. And I think the best way to answer that question is this: is a lot of people pivoted immediately. They pivoted to these delivery companies, who I don't know if I'm okay to say them, and they take 30, sometimes 25, if you work a deal with them, % of your profits. Restaurants work on a 2 to 4% profit margin. So everyone thought, well, I got to stay open and I got to keep my customers. So I got to keep operating. So they signed up for one of these delivery systems. And in actual fact, they're losing money worse than they were before.
Yeah, I get the feeling that a lot of these, for restaurants in normal times to use these delivery services, it was just like an auxiliary revenue stream, right? But it cannot be built into your business model if that's your only revenue stream, because it doesn't make any sense, because they're taking such a cut. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the way it was pitched to me when I told them to piss off was that it was like, you'd use up all that extra downtime in between your busy times when you had product left over. And I said, I only make food when people order it. I make everything fresh. And this is the response I got. Oh. So, I mean, I'm not actually trying to be mean to them. That is what that is. Obviously, if I had used a fast food model to build all of my systems and my philosophical approach to cooking, I would have probably already been doing that. So what I mean is, people who just suddenly went, oh my God, what am I going to do? Pivoted to that, are now realizing that they've taken, it's like the enemy's coming, took out the gun and promptly shot themselves. So what I've been doing as a pivot is, and like I said, I mean, I had some insight that this was coming way out. So I'd given it that sort of 3 o'clock in the morning staring at the wall, like, whoa, how does that fit with me? What am I going to do? And the first thing is, I don't do, I do food for takeaway, but in very small volumes relatively, and it's still all made fresh.
Yes.
So I could do all that stuff, but it wouldn't be an efficiency for me. So what I discovered I had to do essentially was build a model around the way that I procure my ingredients, the way I use the equipment, and then how the cooks function within all that. And what I've discovered is, because we were, I'm going to use the word premium. I mean, I was not cheap. I buy and pay a living wage to farmers. I pay what I can to everybody. I do not charge extra for any, I don't know, unethical or unreasonable reason. So yeah, I'm functioning on 2 to 4%, same as everybody else. But I like to think my quality from my ingredients is better. I like to think my quality from the fact that we cook it all from scratch when you order it makes it better. I like to think that I hire and pay actual, journeyman trades people to cook and prepare the food. So, because that's my model of my restaurant, I had to find a model that fit the new world. And I think this is an important one that fits anybody who's talking about this, is that in the new world, whether you're talking about, you're fooling yourself, this is going to be over in a month, or whether you're understanding that this is going to roll in some ways, and we're going to be doing this for the next 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then 2 years from now, it'll never be the same as it was. There'll be placement of tables that'll be different. There'll be ways that we handle things, deliver things to you. The way that we function will be different forever now. Despite whether there's a vaccine or not, this is going to change everything forever. And my point of all that is whatever I build now, because it's going to take so long to come back to anything resembling what we were in before this, it'll still be sort of normal. It'll become the new normal. It won't be an alien terrain to us, but it won't be the same. So what I build now that's going to run for the next 18 to 2 years kind of thing, 18 months, 2 years, is that by the time it all comes back, that business will need to continue to run, because however quickly the restaurant, a la carte, going, I'm going to need to have them both running at the same time, probably forever now. And I think it's important to also point this out before I explain to some extent what I'm going to do is that when I was staring at the wall at 3 o'clock in the morning, one of the things I realized was this: is that
I've been doing that too, by the way.
Oh, I think a lot of people have been staring at the wall at 3 o'clock in the morning. So think about it. If you get your groceries brought in, as we are right now, that's part of your old system. And then you probably got a lot more delivery of takeout, or went and picked it up curbside. And that sort of thing, in my mind, if you want me to do that, I'm just saying, this is the way I perceive it. I certainly don't know any more than this, but I would say that if this goes on long enough that we are not allowed to go out, what happens is people burn into their habits. And so if I'm ordering one of the very, the main fast food chains, of which there's, in Southern Ontario, there's a dozen humongous chains that everybody knows, everybody's eaten from them, and everybody's had that ordered into their house. If I do that enough, there'll be a point where I realize, I'm just going to order it into my house. Even if it went back to normal, I wouldn't go to the store anymore, because I can just call and have it brought to the house. And the way that the delivery systems work, it's the same pricing. So again, you're like, this is instead of us slowly over attrition staying home, COVID-19 has taught us that we can stay home and get a lot of things that we need.
Yeah.
So what I realized was left over was two things: the premium experience, and I'll come back to explain what I mean by that, and then going out. And so imagine 2 years from now, you've already have your groceries delivered to you. You have a pattern of, you know, Tuesdays eating this takeout and Thursdays eating this sort of more complex meal that you had was brought to you that's experiential, which is what I'm talking about. You will also, interestingly enough, start to do this. Let's go out. Like we've been doing this in too much. And my point here is you're not going to get dressed up on the rare occasion once a month or twice a month that you go out. You're not going to go to a fast food joint. You're already eating them and supporting them, right? So you're going to go someplace that has an experiential, an entertainment, a scene be seen, or something very specific type of food. And that's where I sort of feel like, okay, well, at least I'm tooled for that because we're experiential. We're in a weird location. It's destination, and we do custom food for you. So I feel like when things come back, I still have a way. But if you heard what I said, I would say a lot of these franchises will close their physical locations and function out of ghost kitchens moving forward.
That would not surprise me at all. That I've been thinking about that. Yeah.
Huge loss of labor jobs, right? All the front of house is gone. All the cashiers are gone. All you have left are sort of cooking, and they're cooking jobs. They're not cooks. You know, they're
and
not
also what that will do to the real estate market.
Right.
And I'm talking about that's connected to independent restaurateurs as well, because I mean, how many can survive this?
Yeah, exactly. So real estate is going to get dumped onto the market. The way that I understand this one is, depending on geographically where you are, this is one of the things that hit the restaurant industry a couple of years ago. I read this, I think it was in Berkeley, California, and in any areas that had a lot of high-tech industries popping up, is that restaurateurs, small mom and pops, couldn't afford retail space because the tech companies were taking all these restaurants. So now that this is flipped, the restaurants are going out of business. I don't know if real estate's going to be suddenly a problem because there's a lot of kids out there looking for a physical space to run a business. So maybe that's a possibility retail-wise, but restaurant-wise, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
No, let's get on to, this could go on all day. So I'm going to force you, tell me what it is that you're doing.
Okay, so because of everything that the Ford government has allowed us to do with alcohol and things like that, so I can do a meal for you at home, essentially the same as I do for you here, including I can put in a bottle of Negroni or, you know, Manhattan, a little cork bottle that we mix. I can give you the garnish if you want like a nice orange peel or something in that. You know, something so that when you're at home, you look like the bartender, right? You go put some ice in and a little garnish for it, and you look like a genius. And it's all done and it's easy. And I can put in a bottle of wine or a 6-pack or 3 beers, whatever you want. I can put it in dessert wine. So imagine the whole flights of wines and cocktails and drinks and those experiential things that are still deliverable to your home from somebody else, but I'm delivering it with food that matches it. And I can do, for instance, you know, here's one that we're going to do. It'll be a burger box, right? Where you get a whole bunch of patties and the really good buns and all kinds of garnishes and everything else you need. And all you have to do is fire your barbecue up and grill them. And if you said, oh, I live in a condo, I can't, like, well, we'll grill them and mark them and we'll lay them on a plate for you and saran wrap it and you can microwave it and finish it. So we'll have ways so that no matter what gear or where you live, you can have an experience that is as if you were somewhere else. And the main course, you know, the main course will be mostly done. And it depends on what it is. If it's a lasagna, you know, you just have to heat it up and cut it out. But, you know, there might be a sauce to bring to a boil. But we'll make sure that's really easy. And we'll make sure that it's really delicious. And we'll make sure that it's nutritious, which is one of the ones that most of these companies don't have time to think about.
I agree.
This really is meant to be that meal, that special meal once a week or even just once a month. Because I figure we'll get regulars who will do this. It's not going to be cheap, but it will be of true value. It's not frivolous. It's actually more like, I need this.
Because and when are you rolling this out, Brad?
Well, we've been talking about this and chipping away at it because there's a lot of other things besides cooking. The cooking it part is the easiest. Even the payment systems, curbside systems, all of those are easy. The hardest part with this is the packaging, because it goes like this. There is a ton of packaging out there that is just untenable to me. Black plastic, things that are never going to be recycled, end up in landfill, and are a disaster. So I was already tooling this whole other system based around glass and metal that was a whole series of different containers with different configurations based on a meal that you would pay a deposit on, and then you'd get the deposit back when you brought it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
which also encourages repeat customers, right?
It does, but I'm not sure, and this is a question I have, because my instinct, I'm about 80-20 on this, of not doing it, because I don't want all these containers back that I have to hand to some kid in a dish pit and say, wash all this stuff. Because
yes,
a whole group of people have been using it and breathing into it, and now I have risk. So what I've been looking for, in all fairness, is a series of glass and affordable metal things that's going to drive the price up. And then in my explanation of what I'm doing, I'm going to say, this is what this container is for, and you can use it over and over again for these various things. Yeah. So trying to encourage them to not throw it away. So there's this middle ground where I can't take it back, but I don't want you to throw it away. So I have to put everything in a package and say, use this again. I don't, so I'm working on that. So that's a verbiage, it's systems, it's aggregating all that stuff and then getting it delivered. I'm going to have to get the $40,000, CERB loan in order just to buy the packaging and bring the labor to do it. Because, razor thin, like I said, the day we closed, I went like this, well, there's $4. Okay, well, I'm done now. And that was it. So there's no money. And so we're doing what we can to reboot, pay staff, get stuff on. But like I said, if you were listening to what I'm saying, man, is that I had 35 staff in the winter, and that goes up quite a bit in the summer, obviously. But I mean, what I just said might employ 5 or 6 people.
Right.
Like, this is not an employment solution. This is not a stable societal contribution to the workforce. This is providing food. This is supporting my farmers. This is, getting access to nutrition and fun, and deliciousness and value, but it's not much of a solution overall. So it doesn't make me smile. It makes me struggle to get it going. And so, my landlord is asking for rent, even though I'm pretty sure their rent has been forgiven by the city. So there's a lot of political issues to sort through here.
Of course,
There's a lot of opinion stuff going on out there that's not the big scary stuff. It's just that, whether, I don't know what you're supposed to be doing. 75%, like all the different programs are, I like all the programs. I just can't participate in all of them as well, because a lot of them are back end loaded. So I have to employ people. I need to be a bigger business so I can have enough cash reserves to employ people, so that when I get those monies back for the payroll, I can keep going.
Yeah, I understand.
But, I put everybody on. I wouldn't get the money from my sales for a period of time, which means that I would be doing the thing that I've never done, which is I've never bounced a payroll. I've kept, I'm a cook and I'm a restaurateur. Every restaurateur knows this one, saying to a supplier, well, it's winter. You're going to have to hold off for a few months now. But I'll pay you for sure. And I do. But I don't do that to my staff because, even farmers can barely afford what I just said. But my staff most certainly cannot. And it's kind of that, the only part of this that has prepared me for this is that my business and the industry that I work in has always been day to day, month to month, moment to moment, filled with extraordinary events and days of passion and delicious things and experiences and everything else, but it's always been a nickel at a time. It's just like you pay a little bit and you pay a little and you do it. And so I think a lot of people don't exist that way through their lives. In fact, most past college don't live this way. I'm in my late 50s. I've been living like I'm a freaking college student all my life. I'm tired of it. My business was starting to do a lot better. And it was I was just about to break into a thing where I didn't have to wonder about next month's mortgage payment. And now we're here. So
right.
the boo-hoo is it's the same as it was. And so the reality is I can do this because it's the same as it was. It's just nastier.
Now, you didn't give me a date, but when do you think you're going to have this up and running, honestly?
I don't know. There's issues around all of this. Staff,
yep.
Social distancing, my systems. I think it'll be at least 2 weeks. It might be more. I could have stayed open, just so you know. There's so many people who walk down to this site that I could have just been that guy.
That guy. You've always been that guy.
Not the greedy guy. That would have been the greedy guy.
I know.
And what I realized is it didn't take much of a thought process to realize, oh, I would have been like a COVID-19 node of contamination.
Yeah, a hotspot, yeah.
That's the last thing you want to be is a hotspot. So I want to make sure that I do this in a way where the government and the city and the province and my staff and me are all aligned in the timing of it, and then we'll roll it out to our guests.
So if people were wanting to find out what you were offering, I guess your website would be the best idea.
Yeah, we're going to use the website, Facebook, Instagram. The menu will be a day menu. And I think it might even be the same menu day every week. Sorry. So that's essentially, so you can program that every Thursday or every other Thursday, you have that meal and that you look forward to it. And because I have to have it pre-ordered, I need to know, you can't pick up the phone and go, I'll take one of those with what I'm talking about. I'm going to need you to order it 48 hours out. And then I'll make a few extra. And when someone calls and begs and pleads to have one, I can say, I got an extra one for you.
All right. Okay.
But the idea is that it'll be a pre-order, 48 hours out. The menu will be static. And instead of it being a huge things to choose from, it'll be on Fridays, we do this bundle.
Sounds great. That sounds good.
And so the other up catch is it'll be an experiential, the dessert might be it might be a pound cake with a bunch of berries and some honey and some whipped mascarpone. So you actually put it all together and put it in the middle of the table. So you get to play. And I think that you might get into the pattern of just expecting that over time. I need to know you want to have fun. I need to stay in business. I need to employ people. I need to have a business that will segue into the new reality. I'm trying to do all these things. When it's responsible to do so, I will roll it out.
Well, Brad Long, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today. We'll catch up with you in a few weeks' time and see where you're at with all of that. Perhaps you could show us some of the menus.
Oh, absolutely. Stay healthy.
Excellent. Cheers. Take care. Bye for now. Stay safe.